Hey Marco, welcome to the MasterCard Cup. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through. We'll put you back in your address position, and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your address position, let's first of all just take a look at your posture. Now, your spine is nice and straight and on a slight tilt here. Looks really good, about 64 degrees. Legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Arms hang down or held out a little bit from your slightly vertical spine. And then the club works out to the ball. So if I were going to work on your golf game, I would revise your posture, only because your golf swing basically develops and functions off of this starting unit. So what I would do here is I would push your tail out and up, push your sternum out, up, and forward. What that's going to do is it's just going to straighten your spine a hair if it needs any straightening, but it's also going to put it on a little bit more of an incline, maybe let's say around 51 degrees, okay? From there you can keep your legs unlocked, so the legs might actually straighten up a little bit by getting your tail out and up. And then your arms can hang down a little bit more naturally so your hands are a little closer to your thighs, and then the golf club can work out to the golf ball. Looking at the red position, we're a little bit tall, maybe a little bent in the knees, sitting back on the heels, definitely pronating the hands and arms, creating too much of a straight line with the arms and the golf club. By getting the tail out, it allows our legs just to be unlocked. By getting the sternum out and forward, it'll put your sternum in your head a little bit more over your toes, increase the angle to the spine and put you a little bit more in your golf shot, and will increase the angle relationship between your arms and the golf club. So redefining this position is important because I want you to understand that getting your spine in this position is the rotational axis that we want to function about with no elevation change up and down. And unfortunately, with you starting in your red position, we're going to definitely see elevation change. The other concern here is when I move you from red into yellow, theoretically it's going to be backing you away from the golf ball more. So right now, if you look at connecting the red arrow, or the red lines, look how much closer you are to the golf ball. Okay? So when I look at this, it sort of puts a concept in my head that, imagine if you were playing baseball and you stood right against home plate. Well, how are you going to hit home runs and get the ball off the barrel, if a pitcher throws you a ball right down the middle of the strike zone? Well, you can't because you're too close to the plate. Being too close to the ball is going to provide that same image and that same look where you're going to be jammed through impact, and you're definitely going to be pulling up and changing your posture. So at this point in time, let's clear this stuff off the screen. Let's take a look at your alignment. Your alignment's fine, so we don't even really need spending time there. Your feet are going in this direction. Carry that out towards the fairway. Parallel lines on camera have an appearance to converge. So, I mean, you're pretty much set up right down the center of the fairway. So let's go ahead and do a little split screen comparison between you and Jordan Spieth. Hopefully, before we go ahead and take a look at these color-coded lines, which will get us to understand about swing plane, we can sort of see this posture change. So his spine's definitely angled more. He's got his sternum in his head a little bit more out over his toes. He's got an increased angle relationship between his arms and the golf club. So if we got you in the right position, theoretically that's going to change your shaft angle of the red line over top of the golf club at address, and it would be a little bit more, let's say, on that position. So I'm going to leave that line up there because we're going to make reference to it based on the fact that, let's say we got line, sorry, let me clear that off. We're on arrows. We got line 1 and we got line 2. I don't really care about line 1 for you because you're actually putting the club out of position before you swing. And the reality is when you swing, we really want to base it off of line 2 anyways. So let's just understand the golf swing a little. When we bring the golf club back, we want to rotate the shoulders, draw the arms and hands back as well as the club. We want the club coming back along the red line. That means it's swinging back on proper swing plane. Through the early stages of golf swing, we also want to incorporate some good wrist hinge into play, which means we're going to transition the club head from being below and in front of our hands to above and behind, which we can see right there. all the while the shaft of the club still on the red line. From here, we're now going to work the golf club from red up towards the blue-yellow V zone. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, left arm and club either has to be situated on the yellow line, anywhere in between the blue-yellow V zone, or physically up on blue as we see with Jordan Spieth. We also create full shoulder rotation. We do this about a very stable right leg, but we also create this rotation upon the posture that we achieved at address. So let's go ahead and just mark Jordan's spine here, which is situated at 52 degrees. Let's bring him back to address. Where was his spine? What's on the same angle? So therefore, there's not going to be any fluctuation change with his head when he creates his rotation. When you create your rotation, because you're starting off an axis that, like I said, was too vertical here at about 63. What did we say Jordan was at? 52? Yeah, 52. Okay? So you're too tall. So as we create this rotation and draw the club back, let's first of all note what you do. Well, first of all, you send your hands out away from your core. So one of the things you want to do when you bring the golf club back is just automatically let your hands and arms swing more inside. Don't take them outside. Now, as you're taking your hands and arms outside, the problem is you're sort of flipping your club head in with your hands. So there's now a disconnect between your arms and the club. So that's something that obviously we would take a look at, getting how to understand how to bring your hands and arms around you while keeping the club head in front of your hands. What do I mean by that? Well, let's bring Jordan back down. So right now, he's rotated, he's come back, his hands and arms are working inside, right? They're still on the red line. But where's his club head relative to his hands? His club head is still in front of his hands. Okay? So that's keeping the club in connection with the arms. So you've got a disconnect. Your club head's flipping inside the hands while your hands and arms are going outside. Okay? So that's all fine and dandy. Let's continue to go to the top. We get some wrist hinge into play. Hopefully we keep the turn. You know, and we get to the top of the backswing. So let's just stop here for a second because I sort of like where you are, except for the fact that, you know, when we made our backswing, well, what did we do? Well, we locked up your right leg. You have no flex left in your right leg. Let's go back down to address. Okay, you started with flex in your leg. You locked your leg up during your backswing. So let's get you that same point we just sort of stopped at. Now, let's go back to something I was talking about originally, and that's your spine. Well, what's happened to your spine? Well, look at your spine's now dropped down. Oh, wait, 52 degrees. So now you're in the same angle as Jordan. But what did I say from the get-go? Why don't you start in that posture and create your rotation on that axis that you're getting to eventually by the top of your swing and not have to dive down? So if we take you back to address, understanding your vertical spine, and now we take a look at your head, well, let's see what your forehead and your chin do while you drop your spine down and create your rotation. Right? You move forward out of that box. Okay? So there's some things happening in your backswing where, yeah, hands and arms move out, you flip the club head in, you straighten your right leg, and you dive down. If you just fix your posture and put it in a position where it's supposed to be right from the get-go, you wouldn't have to dive down. You could just create a rotation, stay on the axis, everything's good. Yeah, you need to learn how to understand what your right leg does to maintain a little bit of flex, but at least we wouldn't have this elevation change or movement forward with your head. Okay? From here, as we create our transition back into the golf ball, I'll get Jordan back to the top of his backswing. Simply what we want to do is we want to move our weight from our right foot to the left, fire the knees and the hips laterally to the target, unwind the core and fire the hands. And in doing so, we want to make sure we're bringing the golf club from the blue-yellow V zone, wherever we set it, back down on top of red. Because that's where the club originated from, and the club has to get back on the plane in order to produce straight golf shots in accordance to our alignment. Also in association with the fact that if we do keep the club head above and behind our hands, we're creating what I refer to as this backwards check mark, whereby the club head is above and behind, and we're also going to create a lot of power in the golf swing. So with you, as you create your transition back into the ball, let's see what we do with your descending plane. Now, first of all, we're not done with your backswing, so we have a overrun Club gets out of position, so yeah, we need to learn how to set the arms in a little bit of a better position. Now we got a lot of rerouting to do. We got to get this back at least to the blue-yellow V zone, then back onto red. So we're dropping the hands and arms. Hands and arms come over the top. And you're going to fight to keep the club head behind your hands, but you're going to lose that battle. So at this point in time, we can see the club heads here. So your club is not returning back to plane, as we see with Jordan Spieth. Your golf club, as it keeps coming into the ball, is going to fall out in front of you now to here, and now that golf club's stuck outside of the ball. So if we just go ahead and sort of connect the dots and give you a good visual as to how that club was coming or tracking into the golf shot, we can see this over the top move is creating a very steep downswing with the club head, whereas Jordan Spieth again returned back to plane here. That would have been your frame, let's say right about here. Well, let me undo that. That would have been your frame right here. And we're nowhere close to returning the club back to plane. Also with Jordan Spieth, his golf club comes into the golf ball directly from the red line. And as I already stated, this is what produces straight golf shots in accordance to our alignment. The club has to come into the ball from on plane if we want to hit the ball straight and be consistent. Lastly, assuming obviously club face squares up by having a good grip. So we can see here we have two vastly different downswing planes. You came over the top, club's coming in steep, therefore it's ultimately attacking the ball from out to in. So let's clear this stuff off the screen knowing this, and let's just take a look at the path of the club. We can see with Jordan, his club's inside the ball, it expands out to make contact, moves through in a nice natural subtle arc. Your club is stuck outside or directly behind the ball, but let's watch where it moves. It moves across and inside. See it go? So it's moving in this direction. So very simply put, if we square the club face up to that path, well, clearly we're going to pull the ball in that direction. If we over-release the club to the path, well, not only will we pull the ball, but we'll hit some form of a pull draw or pull hook. If we leave the club face a little bit open to the path, nice thing is we can sort of block the ball a little bit out to the right, impart a little left to right spin because the face was open, and we create this nice little fade, no issues. If we leave the club face too open to the path, incredibly, we can start the ball even further right, even though we're swinging way left. At that point in time, the club face was massively open. We're imparting a ton of left to right spin, and we're going to hit this block slice. So the end result of your golf shot is dictated based on the timing of the club face. The club is attacking the ball from the outside. It's striking the ball. It's moving to the inside. If we square the face, it follows red. Over-release the club, follows the smaller red arrows. Leave it too wide open, follows blue. Time it properly, follows yellow. Now you maybe get a sense of, how important timing is for you in your golf swing in order to get the ball to go where you want it to go. Now, let's clear this stuff off the screen. Actually, you know what? Let's just go through to the finish. Let's see how you do with your footwork. So your right heel's off the ground, get up on your toe. So beautiful move to your finish. I don't need Jordan Spieth anymore to compare you to because your finishing position looks great. Let's clear this off the screen. I do want to look at what the club face did, and then I want to come back to one more thing. So club face looks like, it squares up to your path, and you're clearly pulling the ball left. You're also hitting the ball low on the face, so we have a low trajectory. So it's going low and left. And then what it does from there will be indicative of how much did the club face close versus how much did it actually maybe stay open. And again, you can't create consistency when we're swinging the golf club on that path and then trying to compensate with the club face. I want to take you back to the top of your backswing, knowing we've already dove down and now we're actually in a better posture, but we didn't start there. Again, we started too tall and therefore too close to the ball. What I want to look at right now is I want to look at your head, your chin and your forehead. I also want to look at your spine, which is on a much better angle right now at the top of your backswing, which I want to set it in to begin with anyways. Now let's watch you come back into the ball. So here's going back to the philosophy of if you stand against home plate, or let's say you stand in the right position in the box, pitcher throws you an inside pitch, get ready to, swing through, but then you get jammed, you pull up and out, right? So watch your pulling up and out as you come back to impact here. Look at where your head's going. Look at where your spine's going. So by the time you get back to impact, you have now moved your spine actually taller than when you started. And this is why you're hitting the top of the ball, because your club's too far off the ground. So we have three different spinal positions. We have pretty much where we started, where we moved to at the top of the swing into yellow, and then where we get to at point of impact. There's just way too much fluctuation change, and that's going to create a lot of havoc on where do you hit the ball on the face of the club. And in this case, because the spine is moving up so aggressively and your head's moving out of the way, this is your check swing from a batting standpoint. And unfortunately, you hit the top of the ball and you hit it really low, and we're not going to get any launch angle. Okay? So overall, I mean, you got some great athletic qualities in your golf swing. Your hands work awesome. I mean, you bring them back, you fire them through. Your core works well. You coil, you uncoil. You've got good footwork. It allows you to get through to a finish. I mean, you have some really nice athleticism here. So it's really, really important that you achieve the proper posture and balance and distance away from the get-go. Learn how to create a rotational movement during your backswing that now maintains the new axis you created. Because you'll be further away from the ball, you won't have to jump out of the way to pass through impact, and that will allow the ball to hit a better spot of the club face on a more repetitive basis. Okay? Anyways, if at any point in time you ever want to work on any of these aspects of your golf game, certainly feel free to contact me. I'm over at Glen Abbey in Oakville. All my coordinates are on the screen here, and I'd be happy to structure a little program for you. Okay? Anyways, also if you're involved with any golf tournaments and you're looking for a unique gift to provide your guest, feel free to contact me as well. I'll be happy to discuss my swing analysis services. Anyways, hope you had a fantastic day, and I hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your golf swing on video, and hopefully you understand a little bit more why you hit certain shots the way you do.